Hello, welcome to Spotlight, ready to light up your Wednesday evening.
Spotlight, brought to you by the Isle of Man Arts Council.
This evening we hear about Candles, a play with music inspired from the Laxey mining disaster of 1897. As we head into the new academic year, we hear about new opportunities to learn more about our native tongue, Manx, with lots of opportunities in friendly and informal settings. And more from the irrepressible Jackie Murray Grace about her latest multi-layered theatrical project on at the Erin Arts Centre this very Saturday. Remember, do get in touch with any creative artistic endeavours you might be involved in, planning, hoping to create, or would really like to put in the spotlight. Poetic, theatrical, music, literary, ceramic, sculpture, drag, film, mime, social media, punk. For Jackie, of course, that's just one gig. Any of the others I've forgotten, or just email me at spotlight@maxradio.com. Or if you prefer, howardkane@maxradio.com. They both come to the same place. I read them all. Get in touch and we'll be able to do something. Along with the Manx cats in the TT, the Laxey wheel is an international icon of the Isle of Man, and now looking glorious since its renovation. And with luck, we'll finish those bits behind at some stage as well. It stands high above the mines from which it pumped the water for so long, allowing the miners to carry out their dangerous work deep underground. Dangerous indeed, and a proof we're needed just how risky the whole business was. You need look no further than the Snaefell mining disaster of 1897, when 20 men lost their lives. And it's this disaster, against the background of the tight, proud working class community which existed, which is the inspiration for Candles, a play with music being presented at the Gaiety Theatre on the 20th and 21st of this month. It's being staged by Yn Draamey, three of whom, Artistic Director Susanna Maybury, Chair and both Director and Writer of the play Chris Maybury, and Treasurer Richard, came up to the Spotlight studio to tell me more. I began by asking Susanna to tell me more about Yn Draamey itself.
It came about because we've all been involved in theatre a long time and started to notice that there are an awful lot of kids in particular, but not limited to, who never get the opportunity to take part in anything big because they haven't got the training. And understandably, companies all want people with the training. We understand that completely. But it did exclude so many people. So the basic idea is that we provide the training so that once they are involved with us, we take them through the process so that they can compete with anybody else, basically. It's not just about performing. It's about all the very valuable skills that theatre training imparts. If you're a confident person, you do better in interviews. You do better in life, actually.
Absolutely.
So that's really what we're about.
I've been a drama teacher for 45 years, retired now. The next thing about Yn Draamey is that we don't charge our students. I have perceived over the years that in order to get a training in the performing arts, or in fact anything, it involves money, which is pushing the envelope higher all the time when it comes to people actually being able to access training. Because suddenly we're up to our eyes in the theatre with Tom Hiddleston's and people who've been to Cambridge and this kind of stuff. And there's so much talent out there. Certainly, if I hadn't had access to performing arts training for nothing, I wouldn't be sitting here now, and I wouldn't be doing what I do now. People put instruments in my hands and said, there you go, there's an instrument. We're going to teach you how to play that, and it won't cost you anything. Mm-hmm. That kind of stuff. So what we're trying to do is trying to level the playing field a bit, because we've got, the performing arts schools do a brilliant job. They are great. They are great advocates for the performing arts, and God knows I taught most of the teachers because I'm that old. But we feel that access is an issue for many, many people, and if they don't have access to it, they don't get access to doing the shows, being part of this immense community that we have on the Isle of Man for performing arts.
And so the real Richard this time, what's your link with drama? Are you a lifelong drama man, or how did you come into the drama world?
Well, it's funny enough, I actually left the island about 8 years ago. Moved to Southampton, and we've been back about a year now. And the production that we are doing, I acted at Ballycombe High School 20 years ago.
20 years.
20 years ago. So, which Chris actually taught me and directed then. And Susanna actually taught me when I was about 7 years old. And I'm 34 now. So it's... and when they did this production, I wanted to be involved with it straight away. And Susanna and Chris have given me that platform to come back into theatre and help out, with the production side. I've done a lot of stage stuff before. I've never really done the production side, so it's good to be on this side for once.
Now let's talk a bit about the productions. Then this is Candles. Now, based on the story for the Snaefell mining disaster of 1897 it was, wasn't it? Was this a story that, again, anyone that sort of resonated with someone? How did the idea come about for actually dramatising this?
Well, this is the way I wrote it. It started out more than 20 years ago as an A-level performance. A-level production. I was drafted into Ballycombe as a heavily disguised writer in residence for a little while, and the idea was presented to me and I didn't know much about it, so I did the research, started writing, working with the students. When you're doing an examination piece, there are rules. Everybody has to have a certain amount of stage time, so it's a very democratic approach. So having done that, a few years later, I was searching around for another a production, and it had been sitting in a drawer for a little while. So I thought, well, we'll go back to this, open it out a bit. And my friend and colleague Nick Roberts, who can't be with us today, music teacher, musician, composer, and we sat down and we wrote a whole bunch of songs to go with it, sitting in Bar George, facing each other, me writing lyrics on one side and him literally writing music on the other. And the music added a huge dimension to the whole thing. And the songs are stunning. They really are. And coming back to them, revisiting them, and realising just how strong the music is has been a real joy.
And the script. One of the reasons we chose it, because Chris is the writer, we can mess about with it according to the skills that we come across. So it enables us to really allow the people participating to shine. If there are bits that don't work, Chris rewrites them so that we give them the absolute best opportunity that we can. And it's working really well. It's fantastic. I'm stunned by how lovely it is. Don't tell them.
And there are no issues with performing licenses because I own it.
Of course, yeah. That makes it a lot easier. Play with music or musical?
Play with music, I would say. A musical is the music aspect is a much more integral part of what happens on the stage. The play with music, the music enhances certain emotional issues as they arise. Well, that's being said, we do actually have three dance numbers, three dance numbers choreographed by Susanna. But it's not a musical, and of course it's about a disaster. So it's not exactly a laugh a minute.
Mm-hmm. And casting-wise, then, all cast with local actors and actresses?
Yes, every one of them.
Absolutely.
Mostly sourced by Richard.
Excellent. This is where you come into play. So how did you go about this? Was this through links, or did you put it out online, social media, etc.?
A bit of both, really. More links of who I knew that had been on the Gaiety stage before. But actually, it's really nice because we've got a fairly new generation as well of cast coming through. who are also really, really talented, which makes the future of theatre very exciting on the Isle of Man. So we've got some quite, very well-known people that have been on the Gaiety, and then some not known, but they're all so good. I think, for me personally, this time, it's so different because although we did it last time as a school production, we did it when we were school students, where this time it seems more real because those who are playing the characters are the age of what they would have been. And it has it feels a lot more emotional this time, I think, this time around, because it really feels like it's real. Last time it was great, but because it's school production, you know, people go away thinking it's a fantastic school production. This time, I think when people go and see it at the Gaiety Theatre, they're going to feel like they're actually there.
It sounds like a wonderful project on several levels, from the benefits of doing drama, as Susanna was explaining, to the story itself, the music, of course. And as Richard says, there's the added realism to the play this time around. Tickets available from the Gaiety on villagaiety.com. And it's being staged on the 20th and 21st of this month. We'll hear more about Candles next week.
Spotlight, brought to you by the Isle of Man Arts Council.
It is, of course, the start of a new academic year. Strange how you still feel that sinking feeling at the end of the summer holidays, even though it's well over 40-something years since you left school. But on the upside, a new term means new opportunities to learn a new language. In this case, our own language, Manx. It seems it's never been so popular, which in part, at least, without a doubt, I think, can be put down to the work and infectious enthusiasm of the encourager, Ruth Kagan-Gill from Culture Vannon, who told me more about how there are plenty of good opportunities for people who would like to increase their knowledge of Manx to learn more in the coming months.
Absolutely. So we've got two new beginner classes actually from Culture Vannon starting this September. One is actually already filled up. I put out in our newsletter, on our newsletter, and it filled up in 3 hours, which was, wow, bananas. That's down in Port Erin. But we do have another one on a Saturday morning, which is taking place at the House of Manannan between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. every Saturday. And the teacher is James Harrison, who's a very experienced, knowledgeable teacher. He's teaching on behalf of Culture Vannon. And the classes are free to attend. So they run starting from the Saturday, the 14th of September, all the way through the academic year, finishing around the middle of July. We obviously break for the holidays and things as well. And there's also some other classes which are not Culture Vannon classes, but would be great for people in the north of the island. So those are starting up on a Tuesday evening for absolute beginners in the Mitre pub. And that's starting on the 10th of September. And that's from 7:30 till 9 o'clock, run by a chap called Paul Salmon. And then there's another one on a Wednesday night, which is more for improvers, so people who've got a wee bit of Manx already. 7:30 till 9, starting on Wednesday, the 11th of September, also at the Mitre pub. So there's a few things going on. We also have a range of pre-existing classes at Culture Vannon, which you can find out about if you go to www.learnmanx.com/what's on. Don't try and put an apostrophe in, it won't work. So we're always happy to have new members along, and so they range from all sorts of different levels through to advanced. And yes, it's always lovely to see people, even if they've had a break from learning for a while, we always welcome you back into the fold. So please do come and get involved.
And do you ever think to yourself what has driven this popularity? You think 50, 60 years ago it was teetering on the brink of extinction, and now it just seems vibrant. It seems people from all walks of life, people of all age groups are keen to, if not become fluent, at least learn something about the language. What do you think's driven that?
I think there's a multitude of reasons, to be honest. So I think that now the people understand that there are benefits for being bilingual or multilingual. Learning languages facilitates the learning of other languages. It's really good for your brain. It's a really wonderful social thing. It helps you keep, feel more rooted to the island. That's not to say that people who haven't got Manx don't feel rooted to the island. I know lots of people who very much identify as Manx who don't have any Manx, and that's fine, as well. But for me, it's a way of understanding the island even more and bringing a richness to it. And I think, obviously, since the advent of Manx being taught in schools as well, so Brian Stoll bringing that into being taught in schools in 92, and then the Bunscoil Gilgach being set up, now the language has young people coming through as well, and that's going to help, drive that as it just normalises it more. And it's very natural, I think, to speak this. It's an indigenous language of the island. It's been here centuries and centuries before English even came in. So that's not to discount English at all, but I think it's very natural to want to learn the language that has been here for 1,500 years.
And you find a broad variety, rather like you sort of hinted at there, of people who come along maybe for the first time. Do they come along for all sorts of different reasons?
Absolutely. So you've got people who are new to the island. You've got people who've lived here all their life and are like, heritage back, centuries. And for me, it doesn't matter who people are and why they want to learn. I don't mean that in a discounting why they want to learn. But for me, if they're interested, that's enough. I don't try and gatekeep it at all. But people are interested. Sometimes they think, a few centuries ago, I had Manx speakers in my family. I want to reclaim that. Some of them are interested in the place names. Some of them have their children or, grandchildren are learning either through the wonderful work of the Skimmy Gilgach, who are the peripatetic team who go around the island schools, or they're at the Bunskall and they just think, this is really interesting. I'd like to learn some. Some of them want to learn it, to use it conversationally, to be able to be fluent. There's all sorts of reasons that people want to learn. And whatever people's stories are, it's really interesting. So, but as I say, I just want it to be open to everybody, and that's really important to me, and it's really important to all of us, I think, in the language community.
Just remind us again, if people listening to this think, I wouldn't mind having a go, where's the best place to start? How they get in contact?
Well, the best place to look is, if you're on the internet, I'd go to learnmanx.com/what's on, because you can see the pre-existing classes, the new classes, also conversational groups and things. You can email me if you use email. You can email manxlanguage@culturevannon.im. You can give me a phone call, 694-753, I think,
Great.
off the top of my head.
Good old school.
And I'm you can even do snail mail and write to me, but that might be a little bit of a longer one. So, but yeah, I'm always happy to chat to people and let them know what's going on. And also, there's lots of online resources if people want to just pick up a few phrases as well. We've got lots of excellent online resources for people to do that.
And I reckon if the popularity of Manx continues at the current rate, I fully expect it to be ensconced as the island's national language again and mandatory in all businesses and schools in the next couple of years. Wonderful. Or shall I say, Yindasak? Well, we heard a little from the unique artistic force that is Jackie Murray Grace last week about her latest multimedia event, Otherworlds, Underworlds, Wonderworlds. It involves sound, art and dance. It's being staged at the Erin Arts Centre this very Saturday. We heard something about the show last week, but in the second half of the evening, after refreshments in the middle, of course, there's something a little different, and indeed unplanned, as Jackie explained.
OK, so we're going to finish a show with a live folk horror version of On Ravensdale Hill, in honour of the connection as well. It wasn't supposed to be that way. I very, very luckily just received some Art Council funding to make On Ravensdale Hill film, which is incredible. Unfortunately, one of our cast members had to drop out, so one of our crew rather, so we had to delay the filming because it was supposed to be the film. So now it's just going to be a live version, but we're rehearsing tonight and I've kind of scripted out how it's going to work. I think it's going to be ace.
Is it going to appeal to sort of anyone, would you say? Is it a particular target audience, or is it someone just come along with an open mind?
I think open minds are always the order of the day. I think it'd be lovely if people like things that are a little bit different, a bit quirky, different experiences, something that might be hopefully inspirational. I think also, from a poetry point of view, I really I really enjoy the Australian scene because it seems quite different to other stuff I've experienced. They obviously have a very different perspective on what they do. It's a slightly cultural, there's a cultural difference. They speak in a very narrative storytelling way, so are often based within their history and culture, and very, very sensitively around that as well, and because obviously it's a complex history in Australia. And a lot of Damien's poems are based around his experience as a cystic fibrosis, I suppose survivor is the right word, and a lot of Sarah's are around feminism. Now, not so much feminism actually, but rather a celebration of womanhood. So if anybody did come to Annabelle and they liked my last poem, that was actually inspired by watching a poem by Sarah. So Yeah, that's going to be like a really, I think, an interesting stamp for the Isle of Man. And also, can I tell you a really important fact about the pair? Okay, so they actually sent me a message the other night saying that they're watching something and they didn't know the Bee Gees were from the Isle of Man, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Get this, the Bee Gees went to school near where they lived in Australia, so they've always claimed the Bee Gees as their own. Yeah. So there's a nice connection there as well. But yeah, I think it would appeal to anybody who wants to just see something a bit different, interesting. We're trying to make it a really immersive experience for people as well, not just a straight up poetry night.
Yeah, and this is something I think anyone who's familiar with your work or your last sort of shows, that you do love working at all these different levels. So like you have the poetry going on, you'll always have the visual aspect, you'll have mime, you'll often have dance. You've got Amy working with the sound as well. It always seems to me you love working at all these different levels simultaneously.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. In fact, I've been exploring a lot of poetry, spoken word performance poetry within the more theatrical ilk as well, and found some really interesting people. And it's great to see the way that people collaborating in the UK and beyond and everything as well. So from Ravensdale, who are going to be bringing Owen Atkinson, and they'll be doing some dance. There'll be the Raven, there'll be the Phoenix. We've also got the art therapist Fern Collister is going to just be being her beautiful, incredible self as the Wren. And then again, we're going to have a bit of Lauren and Amy as the sound aspect of the show. Yeah, because it's quite an intense piece on Ravensdale Hill, so we're trying to make it a bit more accessible.
Yeah. And from your own point of view, when you're coming up with these, do these sort of ideas, do they develop? Is it something very spontaneous that comes to you, the idea for shows like this, and you think, wow, because you're always a very spontaneous person, I think, and always bubbling with ideas. Do you have to sort of write them all down? Do they develop? How do you feel it works for you within your head when it comes to putting on productions like this?
Well, the first thing that happens is I put a date in the diary, right? So that's the very first thing. And it's almost like that's a risk. I think I work best with risk. So I put the date in the diary, book the venue and everything. And then I panic. And then I have a total meltdown. And then what will happen? It always happens. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll go, oh, I've got it, bingo. And that happened to me this time. I'm with Annabelle. And it was like, and I just sat bolt upright, grabbed my pen and my pad because I was by the side of the bed.
But you do hear that time and again with artists and poets who keep exactly that. They keep something by the side of the bed because they get these ideas come into their head in the middle of the night or whatever.
Yeah. I think I woke my husband up this morning because it happened again this morning, and I had, and I scribble things down. So the whole show will open with like the Other Worlds poem that I've done, and that came to me literally. I woke up, boom, like that, and then I had the title and I thought, oh, Other Worlds, Underworlds, Wonderworlds, because it's like the underworld obviously is the, Australia.
Mm-hmm. The most important thing, of course, is where, when, whatever. It's down at the Erin Arts Centre, as we heard. So give us the dates, the time, dates, and how people can get their tickets. Go on.
Okay. So it is Saturday, September the 7th, 7:30 curtain up. Tickets are available from Erin Arts Centre, www.erinartscentre.com. They're priced £15. We had to put the price up a little bit because there are more overheads actually. So, but I have said if anybody can't afford it and they want to come, they just need to get in contact with me.
Oh, you can't go wrong with that, can you? And just finally, any of the wonderful masks involved in this one?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're going to reuse some of the masks that Ed already made, and that's my husband, who is just ace with his hands. He started new mask yesterday, and so we now have a wren and a magpie joining the team. The rest are all up in the wall in my house. Yes, there's going to be 5 masks.
Marvellous. We look forward to this one. I expect you have other plans bubbling forward. Like you said, you've got more grants. You've got the film coming up for Ravensdale. Another book another collection in the offing, I think.
Yeah, I've published another book. I'm just sitting on it. I'm going to, because there's just been too much going on.
Too many things, as always.
So it's in my house. I just have kept it in the box. I've given a couple of copies away, and I'm going to leave that till next year. I've got a plan. Mm-hmm. I'm writing something else that I want to do with somebody else, and also the jazz group. We've got a little jazz group going, and we're doing some stuff for that. Me and Jerry are writing some stuff.
Even better.
For that, which we need to get that going along. Oh, there's loads of stuff going on.
There's always loads of stuff with you, Jack. Always loads of stuff. Masks, music, poetry, drama. It's got to be good, hasn't it? Tickets are still available. And Jackie, being Jackie, as she said, if you'd like to go but really can't stretch to that ticket price, get in touch with her via the Penny Productions Facebook page and she'll sort something out for you. What a generous soul she is. We've just time for a quick poem from the Manx youth bard, Neil Kalari. And he'll introduce it himself.
Personality, inherently flawed. In shadows and in sunlight, faces transform, not just a mask, but a mosaic of time. Personality, an expectation to which we conform, though our other thoughts may be so sublime. Personality, a cage for the soul's vast flight, a label too simple for the depths we can go. Each joy, each sorrow, every sleepless night are the creation of our doubts, our expectations. Lo, we are not carved from a single piece of wax, but sculpted by the whispers of 1,000 days. Moments of laughter, fits of anger, facades with cracks, a kaleidoscope and an ever-shifting haze. The flaws, the triumphs, the scars that we bear, we are rivers, not statues set in stone. Each new current, each breath of fresh air, shows we're more than a label alone. Cherish the myriad of selves we contain, for in complexity, true happiness is found. In the chaos of experience we must gain the profound truth that we are unbound.
Beautiful. How do you find that the poetry comes to you? Because again, it's always very different when you speak to different poets.
For me, it's when I'm doing something that's really quite boring. So if I just drift off into other thoughts, I start thinking about things that I think don't make sense. Like for that last poem that I just performed, it was how personality doesn't make sense as a concept. You aren't defined by a single word or action that you do. You can be a funny person who's also serious at times. You don't have to be conformed to a simple situation.
Wonderful stuff as ever, as we have learned to expect from Neil. That's about it for this week. Don't forget, if you want to hear anything again, go to manxradio.com, download the Spotlight podcast, listen where and when you want. Why not try it while soaking your fruit ahead of making your Christmas pudding this year. See you next week. Until then, look after yourselves, whatever you're doing. Be creative about it. Emo.